This is problem number 3 on the sample test problems for test number 1. Your uncle's penny collecting habits are out of control. He estimates that the enormous stack of pennies in his garage contains roughly 1 million pennies. Give an order of magnitude estimate of how many days it would take you to count all the pennies. Be sure to show all work and to explain how you came up with any numbers you introduce. Also note any assumptions you have to make while making the estimate. Okay, so we're going to try to count. First step is maybe to figure out how long we can spend counting every day. I don't think we can expect to be accurate if we're counting pennies 24 hours a day. So how about we say we can count for 8 hours a day. More than that, and we start making mistakes. And let's estimate how many pennies we can count in a second. To make things easy, let's just suppose it takes about 1 penny per second. And so we need to figure out how many pennies we can count in a minute, and then minutes in an hour, and then 8-hour days, and then start figuring out how many days there are. So let's give this a shot. So 1 penny per second means 60 pennies per minute. Multiply that by 60 again, and you get 3,600 pennies per hour. And then if I multiply by 8 hours per day, then we multiply 8 times 3,600. So about 28,800 pennies per day. Per working day anyway. And we're trying to get up to 1 million pennies. So what should we do with 1 million and this 28,000 that we can do every day? And hopefully we see that we should divide them. So we take the 1 million pennies divided by the 28,800 that we can count every day, pennies per day. And whatever we get should be the number of days that it takes us to count. So we'll take 1 million. And we'll divide it by 28,800. And it looks like it takes us about 34.7 days. And remember, this is an order of magnitude estimation, so you always round to the first digit. Everything else is supposed to be 0. So the question is, does that 3 stay a 3 or does it go up to 4? The choices are either 30 or 40. And because of this 4, we know that we round down. So that 3 stays a 3. And we'll say it'll take us about 30 days to count all those pennies. So some assumptions that we made while we were doing this, we could be accurate counting pennies for 8 hours a day. We also assumed that we could count 1 penny per second and that never changed, that we were able to consistently count 1 penny per second. Whereas if we're feeling really good, maybe we could count more pennies per second. But if we're kind of tired of counting pennies and our motivation is waning, then maybe that number changes. But to make life easier, we've assumed it's a constant rate, that 1 penny per second. Certainly this is not the only answer that's acceptable. The idea here is to just justify what you're doing and write down some assumptions and do some calculations. And there's a wide range of acceptable answers for this as long as you justify them.